Welcome to Women of Courage Season 2, where my guests continue to share their courageous stories. It is my hope that these stories will encourage and inspire you as you face your own challenges, that you will take action to courageously pursue your own dreams and passions, no matter what obstacles are presented along the way. I'm Ann Miner, your host for the show, and my guests are women of courage, women from all walks of life. And whether their challenges involve their health, their family, their business, or their career, it's apparent that every aspect of their life was impacted. Our women of courage have found the strength and the courage to confront, to overcome, and to succeed in spite of everything. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment with today's Woman of Courage.
If I were brave, what would I do today if I were brave?
Welcome back to Women of Courage. I have with me today Rita Phillips. Welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to come along and tell us your story today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we're so pleased that you're here. And I know, Rita, that you've faced a number of significant challenges. So I'd like you to start wherever you see the beginning of your story.
Well, I think about 1984. I used to have symptoms that we didn't know exactly what they were, and they of course scared me considerably. So I went to the doctor and talked about that, and they sent me to University Hospital for various tests. And I'll never forget, do you ever just have one of those birthdays that you never forget? I woke up the morning of my 33rd birthday, and there happened to be on television, the program was about the first woman going to space. And the spaceship took off, and it blew up shortly after takeoff. And I thought, oh, this is really sad. I felt so bad for everyone. And I thought, well, no matter what they tell me today, it certainly can't be worse than that. So
that's you, Rita, always optimistic and positive.
So when they came in and told me, the diagnosis was MS, I remember it was fear that at first, it was my first thought. And I'm not sure how I needed to vent that out, but I just looked at the doctor and I said, "You're telling me I'm going to be in a wheelchair?" And he said, "No, you won't." He said, "The chances of you being in a wheelchair are just as high as if today when you drive home, that you get in an accident and end up in a wheelchair." And I thought, okay then, that's good. Let's get these feet on the ground and get moving. And that was a real encouragement for me at that time as well.
Rita, I'm thinking that our audience maybe doesn't know a whole lot about MS. Maybe we should share with them what is multiple sclerosis.
Multiple sclerosis is and I'm going to call it a disease. It affects the myelin on your nerves. You get lesions, they call them, on your several nerves. Generally, it is on the mobility part of your brain. And it makes you trip and fall and lose your balance, and there's anxiety. There's a wide variety of symptoms that mimic other diseases, and there was always the possibility that it could be something far worse. So the symptoms that I have are, sometimes I don't pick up my feet properly, and on occasion I fall, which is always interesting. But I am sure to ask someone if I was graceful if they saw me. Sense of humor helps a lot with MS. And I also have moments of anxiety. Forgetfulness is one of the symptoms, and I'd always like to blame that on, mummy brain or something like that, but it wasn't it was the MS. I had to give up certain things. Running had become impossible because you couldn't keep your balance. Mm-hmm. That was very distressing because I was a competitive ball player and I had to give that up, and that was really hard to do.
Oh, and you had children at home too?
I did. My daughter was 3, my son was 9, and I certainly couldn't let them see that their mother was scared. And I remember coming home from the hospital, and I told my husband, just go back to work. I need some time to myself. And the one way I figured out how to get past the fear and the anger, and this poor pillow will never be the same again, I grabbed a pillow. I went into the washroom and I beat that thing to death. And everything blew up everywhere. I sat down and I cried for about an hour. And then I got up and I laughed because I'd made such a giant mess. And I thought, I have to clean this up now. But when I left that washroom that day, I left all of that behind. I thought, I don't have time for this. I have children. I really must pull it together and move forward. And that's how I got past that.
And that was a milestone.
Absolutely, because that was the same day that I was told.
Yes. And so then you needed a plan forward.
I did. I had to consider how I was going to help support our family because my job at a factory setting was going to be far too hazardous. So I had to quit. And then, now what am I going to do? So I had to think on something that I would have to be able to make some money at, but something that I could work around my MS symptoms, and owning my own business seemed the absolute perfect way to do that.
So do tell.
Do tell. For many years, I was quite bored for a couple of years, and then I took a folk art painting class. It was all the rage at the time, and so I took, I don't know how many classes I took anymore, but I started my own studio, and for about 10 years, I taught people how to paint. I ran.
And what did you call that business?
It was Black Creek Woodcrafts.
Black Creek Woodcrafts, okay.
And so for 10 years, I had lots of various students and met some absolutely wonderful women while I was doing that. Gained a lot of confidence in myself because I was able to do this, discovered I was a leader and didn't know that before. I ran various giant Christmas events for all of my friends who were crafters and was hugely successful. But like anything else, there's a season for everything, and it was starting to dwindle away. So I thought, well, now what am I going to do? I need to change my career again. And one of my students came by one day, and she brought a catalog. She had been at a direct sale party the night before for a company called Home Interiors. And the next day, she brought me the catalog, and she said, Rita, look at this. You would be great at this. I thought, well, what the heck is this anyway, right? Because I really didn't. I thought, what do I have to do? She said, you'd be good at this. You should give it a shot. I said, okay. So I called the gal at on the back of the magazine, and I booked a show for Home Interiors for the following Monday. And I said, and when it's finished, I would like to join. I think she was shocked at the other end of the phone. So we did the show. I loved it. I thought, well, I can do that because I was watching her. And so I joined direct sales and had a fabulous time for a number of years. Grew a team of 70 women, once again finding out that I was a leader and didn't know that. I was able to work around the parties and all those things that are associated with direct sales because my MS would have certain symptoms, or I was tired and I could always work the hours that I wanted to. So that worked out really well for me. As the company, it started to fade. Just like before, anything else, has a season. When they closed, I found myself looking at, now what? Right? Now as I'm getting a little bit older, the symptoms were increasing. I was becoming increasingly more tired. So now we had to find something else to do. And I think that's when I met you, Anne.
I think it is too.
I think.
Now we need to take a break, and we'll be back in just a moment with more of Rita Phillips' story.
If I were brave, step would I take today if I were brave?
Well, welcome back. I'm here, as you know, with Rita Phillips, and Rita's going to tell us what came next after the last chapter.
Well, the thing that I really had to work on was how can I keep going? It was quite a disappointment for that company to be done, and I needed to remain positive. But the woman who I signed under was an absolute inspiration to me. She would say things like, where are my feet taking me today? And it's something that I always remembered, and to this day, I put my feet on the ground when I get up in the morning, say, where are my feet taking me today? Even though they're considerably slower now than they were. Another huge help or an inspiration for me was my husband. On the way home from the hospital, I had done some research prior to that, and I talked to my husband. I said, these statistics are that 95% of young couples get divorced when they find out someone has a disability. Hugely high. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to him, you know, if you want out, please let me know now. And he said, then we'll be one of the 5% that doesn't happen to. And he has been my best friend, and without him, I would not be where I am today, because he always helped me when things got tough. And he's just a wonderful fellow. You know, I wouldn't want to give him up now, not after 30 years. And then you became an inspiration to me after I met you, because I had to find something else to do shortly after I met you. And I sort of, you kept me motivated, and I tried various things. Nothing really worked the same as that first experience in direct sales, and I've sort of been literally floundering around trying to find something that works for me. I do believe I have found it now. Mm-hmm. It is, it's a new company, and I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. But it's time now to slow down a little bit, because my MS has become, it's got the better of me some days. And I have 2 beautiful grandchildren. The one is 4, the other one's 6 months.
Yes.
And they have become my reason, my why now, as to why I want to stay a little bit in direct sales, make some extra money, so that I can buy them all the wonderful things that I believe they should have. I also want to be the OMA that they remember as
the OMA?
The OMA, yes, that they remember, who got on the floor, crawled in the large refrigerator boxes, made forts out of pillows, slide down the slide at the park with them, and teach them how to climb a tree. So I really do need to slow down a little bit so that can happen. I can pace myself for them.
Mm-hmm. And I know you've really enjoyed that first grandchild.
It's the best thing in the whole world. You don't know what it is until you get one. Mm-hmm. You can explain it all you wish, but you just don't know. So now, that's where I'm looking now, is to be more involved with them. And we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. You don't know. MS can strike you down instantly, but I don't fear for that. It's if it comes, it comes. I'll deal with it then.
So, if you were talking to someone who had been diagnosed with MS, what would you tell them was your secret to success?
A sense of humor, a positive attitude, and when things get absolutely crazy, get in your car, turn on a CD, and sing out loud so no one can hear you. You're in the car, right? You're just in the car. My voice is terrible, but just go and do something that makes you joyful. Just to bring yourself back down to earth and look at all the things you have that you should be grateful for. We often forget what those things are, and when money seems most important, we can't figure out how to not think about the things that you already have. So I believe it's a positive attitude and a sense of humor. There are times when I have fallen, tripped, because we trip, we lose our balance and we trip. And I always look around to make sure, you know, please don't let anybody have seen me. But if they have, I always say, you know, was I at least graceful? It's that sense of humor, right? Mm-hmm. You may have hurt yourself terribly, but it's that sense of humor. And if they don't tell me it's graceful, I said, come on, give me a break, I just fell, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so a sense of humor is the biggest thing, absolutely. And getting to understand your body and how much you need to pace yourself to make things work.
Well, that's probably quite important, so that you don't get overexerted. Now, one of the things that you told us at the outset was that your first reaction was, I'm going to be in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. Have you had to be in a wheelchair in any of the episodes that you've had?
No, absolutely not.
Wow.
It's been, I consider myself very lucky. Everyone says, you're lucky. I said, yes, I had to quit my job. I got to stay home with my kids. I'm still walking. They, to this day, appreciate that I was home every day. So that's one of those things you should be grateful for. And fear, I don't have any anymore. If it comes, I'll deal with it then. Anger, after that incident in the washroom with the pillow. It went away. Did it rear its ugly head several times? Yes, it did. But when I wished it on someone else, because I didn't like their behavior, that's when I turned around and went, oh, you mustn't do that. You know, they have their burdens as well. And that's when I turned it all around and chose every day to be happy, because you do get to choose. You don't want to be the sad sap all the time when someone's talking to you, so I chose not to do that. Talked only about the happy things and never about my MS.
So that would be another secret to success, wouldn't it?
It would.
To choose to be happy.
Every day, you get to choose. It's what I tell everyone. They say, why are you so happy? I said, you get to choose every day. You know, you want to be a lump or do you want to be happy? And I choose to be happy.
And I can attest to that for all the time that I've known you. So this new company is going to take up part of your time, but how do you see it playing out as you look over the horizon?
Well, I'm considering how much I want to work. And I do believe that I will again once grow a team and support other women and show them how to just be successful and to be happy. Just to be happy with what you have, and if they need a little extra money, I'm happy to show them how to do that as well.
Now, one other thing that I wanted you to comment on was you were sort of the accidental leader. You discovered that you had leadership skills. How did that look as it was happening?
I would think I was a little bit afraid. I thought, who is this woman who was so shy when I was in the factory setting, who now moved to teaching folk art to a lot of women and being able to stand in front of them and demonstrate, and then with home interiors to go and do parties in people's homes and talk about decorating, which is something that I absolutely enjoyed. To someone asked me, can you do a demonstration in front of a bunch of women at a convention? So I did a demonstration for a home interiors party in front of 200 women on a stage. I was like, whoa, who is this girl, right, when I got off of there. And it was absolutely amazing, these women that I mentored, these 70 women. I really, truly enjoyed that. I have not found that again since then, but I do wish to work on it with this new company.
And now, a few words of wisdom from a wonderful, wacky, one-of-a-kind woman, Jezebel Peppa, a woman of courage in her own right, who will share with us her thoughts on the themes of today's episode.
Hello, darlings. Jezebel Peppa here. Darlings, I have to tell you, we start out life and we have such wonderful plans on how life is going to go, and then sometimes things happen. Have you been derailed by something totally unexpected? Maybe it's an illness, maybe it's an accident, maybe it's the death of someone you love. Those times seem to make us want to lay down and cry. But let me tell you, darlings, that's the time you've got to get up and take a lesson from nature. You look at the animals in nature, they evolve when their environment changes, and that's what you need to do. You might not have the life you planned, but maybe you're going to have one that's better. Learn to be flexible, bend with the wind. Make sure that you take the time to sit back, think about where you're going to go now. It's not where you were going to go before, but that's okay. Celebrate the fact that you can go with the flow, and remember to celebrate the Jezebel in you.
If I were brave,
Well, thank you, Jezebel, and thank you to Rita Phillips. You have certainly inspired us today, and I, for one, am motivated to move forward and take the next steps on my own goals. As our thank you gift, you will receive a copy of my book, Succeeding in Spite of Everything, and you'll take home our beautiful centerpiece by Floral Occasions in Ingersoll. Now, we'd love to hear from you, our audience. Last season, many of you wrote to our guests directly to let them know how you had been inspired and encouraged by their stories. We would love to be able to share your comments and feedback on future episodes of Women of Courage. So please contact me directly by email at the address on your screen below. Remember, in every setback lies opportunity. Opportunity for you to call up all that you've learned through other people's stories and what you've learned through your own personal experience. To rely on your core beliefs and values, to rally your strength and your courage, to find your way through, to overcome and to succeed in spite of everything. Until next time, be courageous.
What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refused to listen to the voice of fear, with the voice of courage whisper in my ear. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were